What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey, y'all, I'm JJ.
Hey, guys, it's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings podcast, where we bring on guests to share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned to not tell this story, but I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to speak of them or talk about them or in any way portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. It would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? Where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.
With something like 5 million podcasts, finding a really good one can take a ton of time. So let me recommend one. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in each episode, we discuss topics that can be really helpful, like how to read people better, the psychology of crowds, or fun things like the story of Legos, or why you probably wouldn't be here if it weren't for horses. Something You Should Know is the name of it, wherever you get your podcasts.
Do you love Disney? Then you are going to love our hit podcast, Disney Countdown. I'm Megan, the Magical Millennial.
And I'm the Dapper Danielle.
On every episode of our fun and family-friendly show, we count down our top 10 lists of all things Disney. There is nothing we don't cover.
We are famous for rabbit holes, Disney-themed games, and fun facts you didn't know you needed, but you definitely need in your life. So if you're looking for a healthy dose of Disney magic, check out Disney Countdown wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Don't Blame Me, where we, Meghan and Melisa, give you wonderful, amazing, life-changing advice, and you will be like, how did I live my life before their sage wisdom entered into my orbit? And to that I say, recklessly, and probably not that well.
Have you been watching, hold on, what's her name?
That's definitely copyrighted.
I mean, you weren't hitting the right notes, so I don't think that, I think slander. You were fine. And it wasn't slander.
Defamation.
You were trying to do the Jeopardy thing, right?
No, I know. I was saying you saying I wasn't hitting the right notes with slander.
I know, and I'm saying that it's not when I'm just letting you know that it was wrong.
It's true. It's true. It's true.
Rayshonda Lockhart.
R-A-Y, Shonda?
R-A-E.
R-A-E.
S-H-A-N-D-A. Well, she has these videos where she sits down and she has this board that she put up where she'll sit down and say something like, you may not be in the NBA, but you stay dunking on us. And to that, I say, thank you. And you just said, to that, I say. So I was like, did you get that from her?
Oh, no, we're just kindred spirits in this.
Yeah, you're both Leos. Yeah.
I love it. I'm in good company.
Anyway.
Well.
So what is this show, Megan?
This show is an advice show where you, our dear listeners, call in with the predicaments, the problems happening in your life. And you reach out to us, two people who are incredibly wisdomous, intelligent, smart.
Wisdomous?
Exactly. Exactly.
Wise?
And yeah, I guess you could, some might say it's wise. And we give you life-changing advice. And if it changes your life for the better, wonderful. And if it changes your life for the worse, sometimes that could be wonderful. But also you can't blame us because that's in the title of the show.
Mm-hmm. It is. Don't blame me.
Technically, it's us at this point. So
yeah, but
depending on what each of us say.
Exactly. We're not always aligned. We're aligned about 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Probably higher than that, but
probably.
Who's counting? So how do people participate?
That is a really good question. I'm glad you brought that up. You can call in and leave us a voicemail at 310-694-0976. And international listeners, you can send us an audio message at meganpodcast@gmail.com. You have 3 minutes. Start the clocks. 3 minutes. And so you don't get stressed out, which you still might get stressed out. we recommend and kind of demand you to practice. Pull out a timer on your phone and write everything down that you want to say. All the important details. You have to be 18 or over. So, include your age. If it's about a relationship, include the other person's age, how long you've been together, or friendship, or whatever it is. Give us the important, juicy deets that we would need to give you the most accurate advice. So the better the information, the better the call, the better the advice that we can give. And then record it. Just read it out loud, perform it. And then you might hear your voice on this podcast. And let us know if you're sensitive.
And also, remember, the timer does not start until the beep. You have time. You have a little bit more time than you think you do.
The party don't start
count
from
from
I
the
walk
beep.
in. Exactly. Wait for the bass drop. And that's when the timer starts.
Now we're going to go into an update.
Woo!
Hi, Meghan and Melisa. I'm calling in to give an update for the April 10th episode titled, Is This Racist? I was the first caller asking for advice on an upcoming trip with my friend who I suspected had an alcohol problem. First, I hope it boosts your egos to know that my therapist gave me nearly the exact same advice. But unfortunately, the trip went very poorly. You were correct in assuming that Amy was downplaying the severity of her condition. Madison and I found out the week of the trip that Amy was not only heavily drinking, but she had also been using cocaine daily, and she had not been taking her bipolar medication, although I assume it wouldn't have been effective anyway. We found all of this information out when Amy was escorted by police to a medical center after an event-filled night where Amy had been kicked out of a restaurant for accidentally assaulting a server in an attempt to actually assault her ex's new partner, wrecking her vehicle, and then miraculously making it home, only to have the cops called on her after a verbal altercation led to two of her relatives jumping her and fracturing her facial bones. She was placed on hold and was released to us because she couldn't go home due to a protection order being filed due to the relatives involved being minors. She was released the day before we were scheduled to leave for the concert. We considered not going at all, but every medical professional we spoke to advised us to go so that we remained consistent in her plans and so that there would not be any shame centered around her feeling as if her condition was not allowing us to go. So we went. Before we left, Amy verbalized that she wanted to go to rehab when we returned. Madison and I took this as her wanting us to keep her accountable, and we tried, but by day 2 of the trip, Amy became very resentful towards us. We had a very bad night before the concert. I don't have time to share everything, but to summarize, despite different strategies and many attempts to keep Amy sober that night, she became verbally abusive, found someone where we were staying that provided her with both alcohol and cocaine, and didn't return to our shared room until 4 a.m. It was a very bad night, but the rest of the trip went fine, and it seemed that we were back on track to follow her plan of going to rehab when we returned. However, when we got back, after I had to drive hours back home, I received many messages from Amy saying very hateful things, and then she blocked us both. So yeah, that is the update. I can tell you that she has not gone to rehab. I've gone through every emotion you can, including none, but I'm still worried about her, and I feel guilty about not trying to get in contact with her, not doing more, despite her blocking me being a pretty clear indication that she doesn't want me involved. I don't have to be her friend anymore if that's what she wants. Even if she wants a different lifestyle than me, this is dangerous behavior, and I hope that she gets help. I'm not sure what to do. I feel for anyone going through anything similar on either side. So yeah, that's it. I'm sorry.
Why are you apologizing to us?
Oh, yeah. But wait, why did she get jumped?
I don't know because there was a lot going on that night. So she tried to jump her ex's new partner
And then
at a restaurant, but then accidentally hit the server that was there. And then her underage relatives jumped her
and broke a bone in her face. Like, what happened? Like, how did that happen?
She must have done something.
I mean, that makes me wonder about the lack of support from family. If I can't imagine an adult letting their kid, do you know what I mean? Like that seems to me like kids out on their own doing something,
but
and
it
then
could have been something where they're like 17 and they were at home and then she came in acting erratically.
Oh, okay. In my mind, they came to the restaurant.
No,
Okay.
they said that the caller said that she drove home or something. There was some driving in between there.
Oh, yeah. You're right. And I'm also like, I would never, ever encourage someone to be like a 5150 is traumatizing for the person who it happens to and like the people in their life. And it can do a lot more harm than good. And it seems like she's got like medical professionals and like a therapy and all of that kind of stuff. But I know adults and like parents, like once like your kid's an adult, there's only so much you can do and only so much leverage that you have. But for so much of it to be put on friends of like, continue going to this like, and I don't doubt that, but like the fact that
was a lot.
The medical professionals would then tell the friends that like this is what you should do. Like to me, that sounds like something a parent would say. Like, we talk to like the fact that you're in contact with these, which is again fine. And I think like if friends want to have support have their friends like help them and know what they're going through and be a part of communications with their team. But that to me is just you have to put your mask on before assisting someone else. And like that puts you guys in a situation where like you could have been in physical harm. And like you also can't really protect that person. Like you're supposed to have things remaining normal. And it's like, well, right now, like the normal that we're experiencing is like so chaotic and like really hard for all of us.
Especially when you're leaving the place that you are.
Yes.
Like you went on a trip and stayed in a hotel and going to a festival where there's a lot of drugs and alcohol. Like, there's going to be
and if
those
you
type
lost
of things. And then she found it easily.
Yeah, but I even mean that like if you're in your hometown and like you're staying at your apartment in your home and stuff, like if you go missing, there are places we're immediately going to check. We're familiar with the location and all of that. It just seems like that's such like a high anxiety time from the time that you got there. This is really rough. And I'm sorry that this ended up being, you were stressed out and overwhelmed before all of this. And it ended up being a lot worse than anticipated. I'm pretty sure they're in their 20s, right? Like, yeah. I'm not bipolar, but I have like friends and family members who are bipolar or have also other mental health things that personality stuff that doesn't happen until your 20s, like, or things that are like onset or diagnosis or treatment plans and things like that. And one of the biggest things that I think is so hard is you can't really be diagnosed with certain personality and behavioral diagnoses until you're over the age of 18. And that can be really beneficial. And I think there's a lot of good reasons why that's there, because adolescents, like we shouldn't just be taking typical adolescent emotions as issues and then being like, okay, this is a diagnostic criteria. Now we're medicating you. But there's a lot of, it's a long learning curve of like medication, like medicating in the dosage and all of those things. And then to have it be thrust upon someone who doesn't have parents involved. This is how we end up getting really, I think, like unjust conservatorship. And it's really hard. And there's a lot of content creators on TikTok and podcasters and people who have talked about like having bipolar and that their early 20s is a time of like figuring a lot of figuring stuff out. So I don't think that you saying that like you wish there was like more you could do. You can only help someone as much as they allow that. And
right. And especially if they're blocking you.
Yeah.
There's really not much else you can do.
Yeah. And I think just knowing that you like care and caring from a distance, even if you're not able to like verbally tell someone that, when someone else blocks you, they can, at least for me in that instance, like when I remove someone else from my life, like I don't think that means that person doesn't care about me anymore. And so they've taken those actions. And so caring and like wanting the best for someone from afar is not nothing. Like that's a good thing to do. And keeping your peace and knowing that this kind of stuff is an ebb and flow, and that hopefully she will get the help that she needs, but there's nothing you can really do, which is a really unfortunate position to be in.
Right.
That's really, really rough. And I think you and your other friend need a vacation. Like, you need like a spa weekend away, the two, like, something to decompress, because spending money, you know what I mean? Like on a trip, like there's all of that pressure for it to be fun. And then knowing going into it, like, I don't think this is going to be good. And then it being worse than you think it's even going to be is such a disappointment. So if it's possible to take another trip when you can save up money.
Yeah, just something for you two to do together, because you unfortunately are trauma bonded through this. So, All right, well, we're going to take a break. All right, well, we're back from our break, and let's get into the first call.
Woo!
Hey, Meghan and Melisa. I, 22 female, am having problems with my 19-year-old female sister. She used to live in my boyfriend's mom's house with me and his younger brothers. Throughout that time, she burned bridges with all the other people in this house due to her actions. We've also had many fights over the last couple of years, some ending in us not talking for a while, but we always had to make up due to us both working for my dad part-time. My question is, how do I rebuild my relationship with her when she's done so many things to hurt me? Our mother was very narcissistic, and that caused a lot of long-lasting trauma for me. Lately, she's been showing some of the same behavior that my mother used to do to manipulate us. Being super nice to the point where it seemed fake, but then if I said no to her about something, she'd do a 180 and be super mean. She'll try to make me feel bad about hanging out with my boyfriend, even though he travels for work, so I like to spend as much time with him as I can when he's home. She asks me to buy stuff for her and guilt trip me if I say no or if I can't. If we make tentative plans and then something comes up and I have to cancel or reschedule, she acts like I hate her and don't want to spend any time with her at all. Another thing that really made me mad is my boyfriend was addicted to painkillers for 8 years, but got clean and stayed clean when we started dating. And during our last fight, she called him an addict. It really hurt my feelings because she's always hung out with us and seemed to get along super well with him. And to just reduce the whole person down to that word is just so low. I'm just not sure what to do. I don't let people in my life treat me this way, and it seems like a cop-out that I should just let it go because it's my sister. I love her, but at the end of the day, I'm trying to start my career and build a life with my partner, so what am I supposed to do? I'm no contact with my mom for the same reason of the guilt tripping and constant roller coaster of us being okay and not being okay just when it's convenient for her. I love you guys on the podcast so much, and I've called in once before, but it didn't get aired, so I really hope you guys can give me some advice. Thank you.
Do you feel like this is the other point of view from the other girl who called in who wanted a relationship with her older sister, but her older sister had a poor relationship with her mother?
Could be.
Because I'm just saying the age difference, that would check out of both of them, like, listening to the podcast. So even if that's not the
But they
case,
didn't live together.
Oh, that's true. I was gonna say, even that that's not the same people, but I would also listen to that call from kind of like the other perspective.
Mhm.
Like, we were essentially in that call giving someone who would have been your sister in this situation the advice on her wanting to mend that relationship. I think like wanting to have a relationship with someone is really different than taking the relationship that you can have with that person. So I think like in theory, the idea of having a relationship with your sister, and to me and to you, all of these behaviors are like very clearly wrong and like obvious and like not okay. And so to assumedly like she should just stop these, and then you can have like a good relationship there. But unless she wants to do that, she's not like going to, like, she has to take that incentive, and we can have an idea of what we want these relationships to look like, and how when you do get along and how everything's great and you're like, I wish I could just be like this all the time. But people aren't one-dimensional like that. Like, all the good parts you see of someone are just as, I mean, maybe not just as prevalent all the time, but they're just as legitimate as all the bad parts of them and that relationship. And it's hard to take both. And I think with any relationship, we take the good and the bad with everyone, but sometimes like the bad is like really fucking bad. And it's not worth it for someone who's not trying to work on that behavior. And at 19, I don't think that right now you have to decide, am I never going to have a relationship with my sister again at 22 and 19? It can be like, you know what? This is what I need from you. I really don't like these behaviors. Like, it's really not okay with me. Like, I don't tolerate this. These are my boundaries. And if she can't meet you there, then it's a step back. But that's the thing with like family, is it doesn't have to be definitive and always constant, a forever sort of thing. But I think if you push a relationship and you just let her continue to hurt you and hurt you and hurt you, and you resent her more and more and more, you're going to explode. And then that will create a larger bridge. I mean, not bridge. It'll create like a larger issue between the two of you and more space and distance between the two of you.
Yeah, I agree with everything Megan said. And then also, why do you want / need to have a relationship with her? Because you said that like you cut your no contact with your mom for the same reasons that your sister's acting, and you said you shouldn't want to have a relationship with her just because she's your sister. I would ask myself this, like, why is this important to me? Is it because y'all work together and you're like, we need to have a relationship because we see each other every day? Or is it more so like, I feel like I need to have a relationship with her because she's my sister and I do love her, but despite loving her, like, this is just tumultuous. So I just think that the biggest question to ask is why. And if you go no contact with her for a minute, you can be cordial at work, but then when you like, that's it. Like, y'all have like a cordial relationship with work. What does that look like?
Yeah. Yeah. Because when people are so close to us, we're giving them the ability to hurt us even further.
Mm-hmm.
And you can create boundaries and still have a relationship with someone. And that's, cordial, professional, surface level. And the other side just has to respect those boundaries. And in a workplace, that actually is a lot better of a place to establish boundaries, because you have a bigger thing you have to adhere to, which is like your work and the job that you have to do. But yeah, it's unfortunate. And not all narcissists come out of nowhere. So like there can be a thing of like, there are horrible people who then raise shitty people, who then raise shitty people, who then raise like that's like the cycle of abuse there. And so I think you recognizing seeing some things in your mom that you're seeing in your sister, that might not be who she is. Like, she might not be destined to become exactly like your mom, but it's going to trigger you in that same way. And that's not beneficial for you, nor if you want to have a relationship with her moving forward. Like, if someone's reminding you of someone who like has treated you horribly that you literally went no contact with, that's like okay, I immediately need some distance here, because otherwise the way I deal with these relationships is no contact. And like, if you don't want to get there at this point, you have to set up boundaries that are kind of like yellow cones to like small things of like, I don't want to get there yet. So I would like to set up these things beforehand, so I don't just wait for it to eventually blow up.
Right. And your relationship with her doesn't have to necessarily look like what an ideal sister relationship looks like. Mm-hmm. It could be, we work together and I can do and let her in for X, Y, and Z, but she can't be a part of this part of my life.
Yeah.
All right. Next call.
Yes.
Hi, Melissa and Megan. I just called because I thought I ran out of time, but I actually didn't. So I'm calling again. I'm looking for some advice on dealing with a friendship breakup involving a friend group. The people involved are me, Mary, Nina, and Emma, and we are all women in our late 20s/early 30s who use she, her pronouns. Those are fake names. About 2 months ago, Mary initiated a friend breakup by telling me that she thinks I'm a bad friend and doesn't want to be friends anymore. This came incredibly out of the blue, as I had literally just gotten home from being with her at Emma's wedding dress fitting when she called me. I was very hurt, as she said she had been feeling like this for multiple years, yet she had never said anything before, so I had no idea she was feeling that way. We had never even had a serious fight before this. The examples she gave for why I'm a bad friend are just untrue in my opinion, and upon reflection might have been her projecting a bit. I would have loved to talk it out, but Mary made it clear she did not want to be friends anymore, so I have not talked to her since and will not be reaching out. This call is more for advice on the aftermath. During the call, Mary said that she was quote unquote not the only person who felt that way. Emma and Nina are our only mutual friends, and I have a pretty sneaking suspicion that Nina was actually next to Mary during this phone call, as Mary and Nina left the bridal shop together. Also, during the dress fitting, they both were acting weird, and I felt like the vibes were off. In the moment, I chalked it up to my anxiety, but obviously after the call, it seems like Nina knew about Mary's plan. I wasn't sure whether I should reach out to Emma or Nina, as I feel like they were more Mary's friends than mine, as I met them through Mary, and I wasn't as close with them. Right after this happened, I lost my job and started dealing with worsening health issues, so I didn't reach out to either of them for a month. Neither of them had reached out to me either, but I knew Emma was moving out of state, and she seemed to be the person most removed from the situation, so I did reach out to her to wish her luck on her move and asked to see her before she left. She said that she was actually sick, but otherwise would have loved to meet up. I didn't bring up Mary, so I have no idea if she was actually sick or just avoiding me because of Mary. As a cherry on top, we had all already made plans and bought tickets to see a concert together in a few months. These concert tickets were very hard to get, and I did all the planning and coordination to get them in the first place. Now we're all seated together, and I know it's going to be awkward, at least for me. If they're all friends, then I will just be the odd one out, and I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. Selling mine for another seat isn't really an option, as I would be paying at least double, which I can't really afford. Also, it feels really unfair that I'd be the one to do all this maneuvering when I did all the work for this concert in the first place. Should I try to reach out again? Should I just give up and not go? I'm not sure. Also, I would love some advice on how do I move forward in friendship. This situation with Mary has really made me second guess all my interactions. Like, I feel like maybe I'm secretly interacting in social settings badly or something for other people to feel like I'm a bad friend or like bad in social situations, because I really didn't see what happened with Mary coming. So I would just like some advice on that or any thoughts. Thanks, guys. I think I really am out of time. Bye.
If these are Taylor Swift tickets, you go. You go if these are Taylor Swift tickets. Unless you
do not leave Beyonce out of this.
No, I was about to say, if they're Taylor Swift tickets and you love Taylor Swift, you go. If they're Beyonce tickets and you love Beyonce, you go. If you have any ounce of pettiness in you and you know that you'll still have a good time, even if you're not like the biggest fan, but you're like, they are going to want me to like not go and like I want to be able to like fucking stick it to them, then go. If you are lukewarm on either of those artists and or you know that you will have an absolutely miserable time, sell those tickets. Sell your ticket and like get money from it, but don't let them stand in the way from that. This is difficult.
Yeah.
This is hard. I guess my first question would be like, you said that the examples that Mary gave didn't really hold any merit to you and felt like a little bit like she was projecting. I would ask yourself, like, do you have issues with these friends? Like, can you see their faults? Like, do you see the things that you don't like about them? Because yes, I would feel the exact same way, like second guessing like all of my actions. But for the people who like they've ended a friendship with me, once I like got over the whole like, wow, I'm like so blindsided and like up and upset, I started to like kind of look and I'm like, okay, I really don't like a lot of things about these people. And so them not liking me also would make sense because we don't fucking mesh. But it can be a lot of circumstance friendships. And I find this happens a lot with like roommates where you have kind of taken their faults and the things you don't like about them as just like a whatever, not that big of a deal to me. I can kind of look past it. But then when other people can't do that to you, it can feel like, oh God, like this is like the biggest betrayal ever. And like I like loved them. They're like such great people and all of that. And you start to romanticize them. So I would first like ask yourself, like, what are their faults? Like, what things do you not like about them as people? Because I'm going to tell you right now, calling someone after you literally just saw them at a wedding dress fitting, which I'm assuming that means you're both going to be attending this person's wedding, and then calling you
bridesmaids.
Yeah. And then calling you while you have a pretty clear indication that someone else is also there. To me, I'm like, that's not a good thing to do. Like, that's not something that emotionally regulated and well-adjusted people do when they would like to end a friendship. And that's from someone who like ghosts. Like that's like, I'm saying that like, that's not okay. So to me, that's like a red flag in a person there. But I do think that there are things that like I've looked on with like friendships have ended where I'm like, yeah, the other people were without a doubt the majority at fault there, but I'm still going to learn from things of like that I did that I wish I had like handled differently. But I think the fact that they don't even want to talk to you, I just don't believe that that you did something so absolutely horrific that they're like, I can't even speak to you. Like I'm going like completely and you would have no idea. Do you know what I mean? Like that to me just doesn't add up. Like I think when you go, I'm not even going to tell them, like I'm not going to like give an opportunity to like kind of grow from this or like anything. It's going to be no warning. It's going to be all of that. To me is usually like an event occurred or something happened that was awful and there's no coming back from it. It's irredeemable. And you would know. Do you know what I mean? Like you would have known that had happened.
I don't know. And the reason I say this is because listen later this week too, but am I wrong? Because I actually am going to talk about a situation, but it's very similar to this where about ending a friendship. But I found it interesting that you, the caller, you said that I'm not even specifically close to, like after all this has happened, you're like, well, I'm not even that close to her. She's not really somebody that I'm closer to the other people than I am than with her. So is she even actually like your friend? And I would love, this is one thing is like, I would love to have specific examples so that we can hear like what you don't think it's a big deal and you feel like she's projecting, but to her, it was a big deal or else she wouldn't have been ending the friendship. So like, what was it? What was it? Because I've got specific examples that I'll be sharing later.
A bloodbath tonight in the rural town of Chinook.
Everyone here is hiding a secret. 4 more victims found scattered. Some worse than others. I came as fast as I could. I'm Deputy Ruth Vogel. And soon, my quiet life will never be the same.
Realm presents a 30 Ninjas production, Chinook, starring Kelly Marie Tran and Sanaa Lathan. Listen to Chinook wherever you get your podcasts.
Thursday, but like, and if you weren't really that close to her anyway, and you were like, she's kind of like Megan said, was she just like a friend of circumstance and she was just there and maybe she saw you as more, or are you just saying that now because she's ended the friendship? So I have open-ended questions. As far as the concert, I say go. You coordinated all this. You put in your time and effort. You wouldn't have put in time and effort if it wasn't something that you wouldn't have wanted to go to. So I say go, enjoy the artist. You don't, like, if you're having a great time at a concert, really who you're with doesn't really matter unless they're just being an asshole towards you. But if you just go to enjoy yourself and just hi, hello, that's it, then just go.
Yeah. So I would say, like, if you know you're going to have an absolutely horrible time and like your gut is telling you don't go. Because like that was like my junior prom. My date got expelled like the weekend before prom or suspended. And I was like, I don't want to go. Like, this is going to really suck because it's going to be horrible. And everybody like they're like, no, like, come on, you're going to regret it. And I was miserable and I knew I was going to be miserable. And because I went in with that, like, I knew I was going to be miserable. I was listening to other people, but I wasn't actually taking it in. So going and thinking that like you have to do the work to know that you're going to enjoy it beforehand. And what I would do is I would get there early as fuck and I would talk to the people on the other side of you and like be on the end, talk to the people on the other side of you or behind you or in front of you, be like, hey, heads up, like I bought these tickets months ago and I like with a group of friends, like I'm not friends with them anymore. And like, I just like want to know if I can like vibe out with you guys for like a bit. And like, I won't like impede on your space or anything like that. But like, and if someone said that to me at a concert or like a sports game, I would be like, oh my God, without a doubt, I will talk to you or, you know, like just suss out the vibe and like make sure that like, you know, that you have like a friendly face and someone you can like turn and be like, oh my God, I love this song. So I think especially if that's a Beyonce or Taylor Swift concert, like you are going to find fans who are wanting to share the experience of seeing their favorite performer live. Like it's a fan it's a fan experience. So I'm hoping it's not something where you're just, sitting in chairs and it's not bad. And like, no, but I mean, I guess if no one's talking to each other, you don't have to talk to them either. But yeah, that's a good point that the examples would be helpful because it could be something that is bigger and that maybe you didn't pick up that they wanted you to like adjust the behavior. But I guess my question would be to all of it, like, why would you be invited to go try on wedding dresses? Like that felt like time. Like it felt like really mean, specific timing, unless the event that occurred happened when you were trying on wedding dresses.
Which could have been.
Yeah.
So, but we don't know. We can only go off what we know.
Yeah. It's confusing. So it's rough, but I would say the moving forward with it, I think not reaching out it is a totally valid thing. But I also think if you need some like more clarity or you are like really like, I'm just second guessing all of my actions. And like, if there are parts of you that are like, no, this doesn't feel totally out of the blue. And like, they were really like good, nice people. And this felt very out of character for them. And I've known them for like a long, I think like it's uncomfortable, but to follow up and like text them and just be like, hey, you don't have to respond to this, but like, I've been doing a lot of like reflecting and I really feel like I'm like missing some things that in how this friendship like ended in some of those actions. Like if you could like send me any additional like moments or instances that like stuff happened or went down, they might not respond to that. But I think the moving on from this and like the second guessing all of your actions and like how you behave in social situations, that's something that happens a lot when you get ghosted from a date. Like you get, you end a friendship. Like it's a very normal and common reaction that we have after that. But there it's the practice of working on it and like the practice of having other social interactions with other people. And is your picker off with like these with friends? Like do you really like them? Like Melissa said, like were you really that close? Like what was the agency that you held in that relationship? Yeah. So I think this can be as much as like, I don't think from what you've told us, I don't know. I don't, to me, like from their actions, unless you did something absolutely horrific, I don't think they went about this in a way that was very kind. But I don't think that even those instances where you're not obviously at fault, I still think we can like learn from those things.
Mm-hmm.
The phone call afterwards with someone else on the line, to me, that's middle school shit. Like
she thinks that she was like next to her because they left together.
Well, yeah, they're just definitely.
Yeah. I think when I share my story later, you might be like, oh.
No, yeah. I think that there's so many instances where it could be that, but without examples.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
It's hard because I'm like, I don't think that they were being intentionally nice, but also sometimes I'm not intentionally nice. Like, do you know what I mean? Like
it could have been something where like the caller was doing something like it's been building up and then like did something at the dress fitting and they're like, we don't want to handle it here, but like we're over it and it's time to tell her we're not going to ruin it in front of the bride. But
yeah, there's sometimes where I can go out of my way to be mean, but there are other times when I have to go out of my way to be nice in a situation. And like sometimes like that's what those things call for. And it's hard to know without the examples.
The details. Yep. All right. Well, we're going to take a break.
We're back in time for the next call.
Hey, Meghan and Melissa. I'm calling in about a situation with my boyfriend's family. I'm 22 and so is my boyfriend. We have been together for almost 3 years, and throughout our relationship there has been a lot of strife between my boyfriend and his family as well as his family and me. Long story short, my boyfriend no longer communicates with his dad or stepmom, or anyone else on that side of the family. They are very emotionally abusive and manipulative, which I knew from the start of our relationship. No matter what my boyfriend did, he was always wrong and called disrespectful and inconsiderate. I may be biased, but I never saw either of these qualities in him to this day. Fast forward to now, like I said, he no longer communicates with them and is seen as an outcast in the family. It seems as though they blame me for his decision to not talk to them anymore, but all I've done is support his decision. I've never told him what to do one way or the other because I would not want him to make that decision for me. For example, tonight was his stepbrother's graduation, and my boyfriend was very nervous that he was going to see his dad and stepmom's family at the graduation. He's been telling me for weeks that he wanted me to come as his emotional support, but then they only gave him one ticket. So we decided to try anyway, and we were both able to get in, but his sister expressed to us that the family was very unhappy that I was there. And they even said that I was going to ruin the night for the graduates. I'm serious when I say that I've never done anything to this family, and I can't figure out why they act like they hate me so much. How do I cope with this? Is there something that I should do, or should I just let them be? Do you think I should support whatever decision my boyfriend makes regarding his family, or should I guide him to talk to them again? I feel really guilty sometimes, even though I know that I did not tell him to do this.
It's not you. They're just looking to place blame on somebody, and you happen to be the person in his life that is not related to him, that he is with. And so they're blaming you because you're there and not their relative. That's really all it is. And so if he doesn't want to communicate, then like he has to know that like when he goes into certain situations where he does have to communicate, that he's going to be met with resistance like this. And then you coming when you weren't invited and finagled your way into this, that was something that they weren't ready for. And so they're going to, again, continue to blame you because you're the person that's there to blame. So I think all you can do is just, if this is what he wants, is have like limited communication with them in certain situations, then I think that you just have to accept what your role is in this and just know that they're not going to like you. And as much as that may hurt you, it's not about you. It's just so that they have a finger to point. And so you just kind of have to accept it.
Yeah, no, you're all of that. It's spot on. Like you're the scapegoat and they act like they hate you because it's more socially acceptable to hate their son's girlfriend than it is to hate their son. So they hate him, but they
hate his decision.
But when you control someone, you don't like someone that you want to control. Like you don't respect that person. Like you want to use that person as not having any agency in their own life. Like wanting to control someone is not a positive kind of relationship. And there's so much idea of like what family is. And so to them, they want to do whatever they can to, and that's why you weren't invited. That I'm sure there are other things where they won't want you there. They want to create a wedge between the two of you so then they can paint you to be evil. And then he will decide to break up with you and then he will be back with them. Mm-hmm. And that's not the case. And like, that's not what's going to happen, but it's textbook. Like it has absolutely nothing to do with you. You should not encourage him to do anything he doesn't want to do. Like you should just be a sounding board. And as you've said, like they're awful to him. And beyond just being a sounding board, it's important to be like, no, they're fucked up. You are not wrong. Like, it's not just, well, whatever you want to do. Like, you're not a therapist. It doesn't have to just be any of that. Like, you can have strong opinions on how other people treat the people that you care about, and you should let them know. If someone's treating someone that you love poorly, you don't have to remain neutral on that subject. Especially because, like, for parents and things like that, I don't know what when his stepmom was in his life, but like when you don't know any different and like these are how the adults have raised you, like it's like deprogramming. So if you have a healthy relationship with family, or you've processed your own things and you're able to see it from a wider perspective, like, you should absolutely share how you feel. And I think you're doing absolutely everything right. I think it was a fucking power move to still go to the graduation and like finagle your way in there. And like, that's the support system that's an incredible support system. And I'm sure like it feels so comforted by you in that fact. Because to me, attending something that like the risk of seeing someone who you've got no contact with, where it's a really toxic, like abusive relationship, he felt strong enough in that moment to be able to go there knowing that you were there with him. And the strength of that relationship is something that his family, they're threatened by and they're envious of. And to them, when bad people see other people close like that, they assume that they have to be being manipulated because that's the only way that they would treat that person. So like when they're manipulating their kid, then they have to assume that like, oh no, he cut us off and you're close with him, so therefore you must be the one manipulating him now. And it's like, no, that's not how that works. But it seems like from what you've said, like you've been together 3 years, you've seen like the family dynamics and relationship and stuff. So I'm going to assume the no contact thing has been relatively recent or within the last maybe 2 years or something like that, or could even be like 2.5 years. It's a very like long process of processing all of this and like how you go about all of your other relationships, like those relationships moving forward, and like where those boundaries are currently can change and like what they are comfortable with and what they want to do. So I think you keep doing what you're doing and like keep the lines of communication open with your partner like the whole time, and know that this is just how these people are. If you don't believe the things that they say about your boyfriend, or you don't trust them as they're not someone you would call in an emergency, like they're not people who you would console, like they're not people who you would go to when you're going through a hard time, then you can't give what they say merit in only specific instances. Like either they get it or they don't, and they don't get to be wrong about everything and then right about you.
Mm-hmm.
But this is unfortunate, but I'm really happy for your boyfriend that he has you, and it's tough, but it constantly will get easier for both of you.
All right, next call.
Hi, Meghan and Melisa. This is my second time calling, so ignore my first message. I am a longtime listener, first-time caller, and I would love to hear your advice on not getting along with your best friend's boyfriend. So my best friend, let's call her Sarah, 23 years old, started dating her boyfriend, Mason, 29, just about a year ago. Sarah and Mason met through Instagram but had some mutual friends. After going through his Instagram, Sarah was able to see that he had previously been married, but at the time didn't think anything of it. Upon meeting him on their first date, she found out he was in fact still married but had already filed for divorce. Although I found this to be a huge red flag, it was not my boyfriend, so I didn't have to be concerned with accepting this information. Sarah and Mason continued dating and became official a few months later. At this point, his divorce had been finalized. Mason is a perfectly fine guy. He's treated Sarah right in all the ways a best friend would hope for, but he simply is nothing special. When hanging out in a group setting, he's pretty boring, often can be rude, perhaps unintentionally if I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. But an example of this would be he pretty much made fun of my boyfriend for not making as much money at his job as he did. They work in similar fields, so just little comments like that tends to just belittle people and be overall rude. With all that being said, Sarah is in love with him and plans to be with him forever at this point. Of course, we never know what's going to happen, but she's pretty set on being with him long term. I don't really know what to do about maintaining our extremely close friendship. We were best friends all throughout college and still are best friends, obviously. I never really want to hang out with her boyfriend pretty much ever. And it's difficult to plan things just the two of us since we both have boyfriends and are in relationships. She always makes hanging out a double date kind of situation. For the record, my boyfriend also strongly dislikes Mason. So yeah, any advice on this would be great. I love you guys so much. Bye.
I want to say, so I started off being like, the divorce thing is not a red flag to me because he finding out that he was married from his Instagram, I don't know how you do that. If they're like wedding pictures, I personally would delete those, but like some people keep them up. Like, okay,
they may be tagged in them and don't realize that
yeah,
the
like
tag stuff is there.
To me, like how people portray themselves or like how they go about breakups or relationships on social media, like it's so varied. Like I don't think either one is right or wrong. But I would say like on the first date, finding out like the divorce isn't finalized, like we filed for it. Like I think that's a green flag that like you didn't have to find that out. Like offering that information on a first date, I think is important. And again, like bright green, fantastic flag.
Yeah. And I have plenty of friends that have been going through divorces for years, and they're in their minds, they are divorced and have been divorced for years, but it's just like the divorce takes so freaking long to happen. So it's like, yeah, we're technically still married, but not really.
Yeah. And usually like 99% of the time, if a divorce is taking a long time, that's because it's not going well. That's like, there's a lot of fighting back and forth. There's a lot of like like it's not a positive like experience. Like if your divorce is taking you years, seldomly are you ending on good terms and you're close friends. Yeah. So I mean, you did undersell when you were like, he's like, like he's everything, like, he's everything you want, like your friend's boyfriend to be. Like, I'm so like good for her, like, and I think he's just a little bit rude and unintentionally. And then you say, like, he made fun of my boyfriend for not making as much money as him in their same field. And my boyfriend also hates him. And he just kind of belittles everyone and is rude. And I'm like, hold on, like
that's a lot.
That's a lot. Like that's
so I guess
really
he treats
bad.
her well, but doesn't treat anyone else well.
Like he's a bad person to everyone except her. Like no, like that's like you're underselling this. Like he's like low key, high key sucks. And the fact that your boyfriend also didn't like, because I was like, some people and their personalities, like if your boyfriend was like, no, that's just like how we talk, like we're bros, but he didn't like him either. Like so to me, I'm like, yeah, okay. No. I would wonder, like, what was her reaction to him saying that? Like, did she overhear it? Because I think it's not your responsibility she doesn't have to date someone that you like, but it's also not your responsibility to tolerate or take someone saying rude shit to you for the sake of your friend. Like if it was me, and this happens when you're all on a double date together because she's constantly insisting it and he says something rude, like I would say something to that. And I would, because she might not care, which sucks. But I think you're giving him the benefit of the doubt. Right now, I think you're giving her a little too much of the benefit of the doubt. Because either you're shielding her from how he treats other people, or she sees how he treats other people and she's okay with it.
Right. So it's like at that point, it's like, are your values still adding up? Is this something like if she's going to be with him and you don't like him, is this something that you can look past? Because if not, then as long as she's with him, I just don't think that this friendship continues. If he's treating her like a queen and then treating everybody else like shit, it's like, that's not fair to everyone.
And she knows, like she sees that. So sometimes the people we date bring out the best in us, and they can also bring out the worst in us. And I think that if she wasn't so insistent on merging your friendship into a couple's friendship, I think that you could get away with maintaining the current friendship you and her have had for years. I think you could have gotten away with trying to maintain that for a little while longer, maybe until, I don't know, if they end up getting into that like suburban life and they're like, oh, minivan, maybe kids, maybe not kids, but like we have like a barbecue with like friend, like all the couple friends. Like sometimes like once you get to be like a adult, you really only hang out in those kinds of group settings. But I think her trying to like desperately make this a foursome constantly, that is not going to happen for you. And like, you're not cool with that. So I would probably just do it. I would probably be petty and like pick a situation where I know I've seen him be belittling and rude. And I would put us in that situation and then I would call him out on it and I would see her reaction for that. And I think then I would take the steps of like, do I want to have some space from this relationship? Do I need this to be a conversation? Or is it like a moment that's like teaching and learning? Because I will also say you cannot like someone's partner a lot and then get to know them better and you end up liking them more. But that has to be a desired effort on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's like it sucks, but like it truly is a make or break thing.
It really is.
Like it's you will have friends and then they start dating someone and then you realize like, oh wow, all of like those little like flaws that you have or like things that I don't think are your best qualities. I didn't realize that like that's what you thought was like the core and the true you. And so then you're dating someone who matches and mirrors and amplifies all of those. And you're like, those are the worst things about you. Like, what do you mean? And it's like, okay, well, that friendship's done then. And like, it sucks, but like, it's so fucking common.
Yeah. I think it's more common like in friends that like I'm friends with and like, and then they get a partner, but like usually if they're somebody that's been in a partnership, then it's like they've been with the person for years, then it's like fine. I think at this point, I don't think I have any friends that I just don't like their partners. Like I'm friends also with their partners.
Yeah, I'm not friends with any of these people anymore. Yeah,
but we're also in different age groups, you know. Like you're barely still in your 20s and I've been out of my 20s for a while. So
but also like at this point, like I don't think I would become friends with someone and then find out I hate their partner. Because like it is a reflection of you. And so it really, you're right. It only really does happen for like your childhood friends or people who you know and you see them grow through this.
Mm-hmm.
But it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
My condolences. No, truly, my condolences. Like, it fucking sucks.
Sorrows, prayers. If you've watched Queen Charlotte, then you get it. Anyway, well, that's all.
Woo! We hope you all enjoyed. As always, give us a call. Leave us a voicemail or a voice memo, and we can give you advice on our upcoming episodes. And if you are a caller from one of these episodes and you would like to give us an update or some clarification, call us again or shoot us an email. We can schedule to hop on a Zoom. Or if you're like, please no, don't talk. I don't want you to see me. I don't want you to ask me direct questions. I'll just answer your questions. That also works too. We have an email and a phone number. You can do both those things. Or if you're not even from this episode, but you'd like to give us an update, we appreciate it wholeheartedly.
If you'd also like to participate in Don't Blame Them, we didn't have one for this episode, but that's when y'all listeners call in with your own advice. If you're like an expert or if you just have thoughts and feelings that you'd like to share, then feel free to call in.
And leave a review. Follow us on all of our socials. Tell us how wonderful and amazing and great we are. If you work at a company that sponsors podcasts, be like, hey, I know these girls who are like so fucking good at what they do. Like, we should give them some money. And to that, we would say, we'll take it.
Thank you. Yeah. But we appreciate y'all for being here with us. Thank you.
Thank you for being here today.
And that's it.
Okay, goodbye. Don't Blame Me is a production by me, Megan Rinks.
And me, Melissa D. Montz, plus Diamond Imprint Productions.
Post-production sound and editing by Coco Lorenz.
Production assistance by Melanie D. Watson.
And music by Giacomo Picasso and Ryan Hunter. Hey, are you ready for some real talk and some fantastic laughs? Join me, Megan Rinks.
And me, Melissa D. Montz, for Don't Blame Me, But Am I Wrong?
We're serving up 4 hilarious shows every week designed to entertain and engage and possibly enrage you.
And Don't Blame Me, we dive deep into listeners' questions, offering advice that's funny, relatable, and real.
Whether you're dealing with relationship drama or you just need a friend's perspective, we've got you.
Then switch gears with But Am I Wrong, which is for listeners who didn't take our advice and want to know if they are the villains in the situation.
Plus, we share our hot takes on current events and present situations that we might even be wrong in our lives. Spoiler alert, we are actually quite literally never wrong.
But wait, there's more. Check out See You Next Tuesday, where we reveal the juicy results from our listener polls from But Am I Wrong?
And don't miss Fisting Friday, where we catch up, chat about pop culture, TV, and movies. It's the perfect way to kick off your weekend.
So if you're looking for a podcast that feels like a chat with your besties, listen to Don't Blame Me, But Am I Wrong on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a founder of the Go Kid Go network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. Look for The Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Merry Christmas, everybody. My name is Eric Peterson. I'm here with my good buddy,
Danny Jordan.
And we are the co-hosts of the Christmas. Let me try that again. Merry Christmas, everybody. My name is Eric Peterson. I'm here with my good buddy,
Danny Jordan.
And we are the hosts of Christmas Countdown Show.
We're so thrilled to be bringing the merriment to you all this holiday season.
It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be massively merry,
Oh,
gigantically jolly, fantastically festive, as some people might say, Eric. We are all about alliterations, and we are all about Christmas spirit. On Christmas Countdown, we love to count down our top 10 favorite things related to the holiday season. That could be food, movies, music, everything that we all love about this massively merry good time. So wherever you get your podcasts, make sure you click that subscribe button. Eric, are you ready?
I am ready, and we hope that you are too. Merry Christmas, everybody. Let's go. It should be like, let's go, ho, ho, ho.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah.